Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Afterthoughts. I'm Nadeem Kadir, and today our guest is Mr. Mohammad Arafat. He's a faculty member of the School of Business with the Independent University in Bangladesh. Welcome to the program, Mr. Arafat.
Thank you.
Usually we do a roundup of the week's events, and I think it's New Year, and we had the Prime Minister's speech. We had today we had the opposition leader Begum Khaleda Zia's speech. But first, let us reflect back on the 2 years of the government, and we can refer to the Delhi Star Nielsen survey report.
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, if you're going to talk about what's been happening in the last 1 week, one of the most important thing that has happened is the government has completed its 2 years, right? And we've been talking about this, for the whole week, in different seminars and in different talk shows and all that. What I understand is the way I wanted to evaluate this, especially the result that I have seen in the Nielsen survey that came in the Daily Star and Pratham Alo. I have some observation on that, the survey itself. The way they have selected the areas in all over the country. What I found out is it's very likely that that might give some biased results, because the whole country hasn't been covered. Some of the specific areas has been covered. So, as we know that given the context of this country,
but this Nielsen surveys are given high ratings everywhere.
Well, it's fine, but not necessarily. There's the people behind this, those who are doing the survey. I'm not saying, well, the surveys are not absolutely accurate. There's always the error margin given, and also you can always question and argue the methodology and the way it is performed. So from that point of view, I had these questions in my mind, because given the context as what I was just going to mention in our country, not every area has equally distributed in terms of your choice of the political party, right? So there's some areas which has the dominance of one particular political party. In some other areas, you have the dominance of other political party, right? So if you don't cover the whole country, then it is likely, logically, what I understand, that it might give you some biased results, might not be very right. Even though what you've seen is
seen a popularity fall of the government.
Has fallen, even though Awami League has still enjoying the highest amount of confidence, and with certain amount of drop of the confidence has also been reflected, and that
the opposition has also gained.
Has gained, yes, that's very true. They've sort of narrowing down the gap between the incumbent and the opposition. That's very true, but we still need to find out more. And also, the incumbent always have this problem. People see the complaints and the problems more, and also we have the certain tendencies of forgetting what you get, and we think about what we are not getting and what we need to get more. So it is all over the world. Even if you look into the American politics, in the midterm election, what happened with the overwhelming majority, Barack Obama won in the election, but then eventually after 2 years we've seen a sudden drop. So that is part of this whole game, I think. But
for Obama, it was basically more of the economy, I think. And here,
it's not only economy. It's some more things are there.
But basic focus was the economy.
No, there are some other vital factors. What, in my observation, because which are very, very much alive here in Bangladesh politics as well. Because the Republicans, they capitalize on the Christian fundamentalist groups, and they have some sort of social movement like Tea Party and those kind of stuff. And I was there myself in the US and seen the elections. What happens is they want to utilize all those, religious sentiment. And even in a country like America, I've seen how people are falling into this kind of traps. So that was also another vital factor why the Democrats sort of lost in the midterm election. They did not lose, but they have sort of lost the confidence what they had in the beginning. So I think we also have to take some lesson from there. I mean, relevantly, we brought up this issue, the Barack Obama's issue. You might.
We think some are also very much like things happening in Bangladesh that you're comparing. What are those? Can you mention those?
Exactly. I was going to that. In fact, sometimes what happens is we see the difference between the facts and the perception. What is exactly happening, who are actually dedicated more toward the country and who are working hard for the country. This is one thing. And how you are seeing those and how you are perceiving those, that's another thing. So something that makes the difference between these facts and the perception is the campaign and propaganda, and how much you can effectively communicate to the people. Because there's certain things, for example, the price. There's nothing much to propagate or campaign about because people face with this price every day, right? But there's certain other issues are there. Like we also here see that the abuse of religion sometimes, sometimes some of the signs of the backward politics, the some other countries' sentiment being used here in this in our domestic politics, but the political parties or the quarter those who use this when they're in the power, we don't see much of proactiveness while dealing with the protecting the interests of our country. So not too many people have the opportunity to have the exposure to the real documents to actually make the right judgment. So what happens is the perception is basically based on the propaganda and campaign and all that. So that matters a lot. So that's from that point of view, I think the media has a very important role to play.
Definitely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, when you talk about the survey and you're saying the biases, why in that case it is so much valued and so much debated? Every year when this comes out, this particular survey, I've seen for years together, there has been a huge amount of debate, and you've been taking part in the debate yourself, you're saying.
Right.
So if there are biases, why aren't they being pointed out? Have you ever tried to point out?
Well, there are other groups in our society, in our politics, in our country, who are also doing this survey, but they're doing probably underground for their internal usage. They're probably not publishing it. Sometimes what happens is something which is in the media that comes out very big in our society. Something which is not in the media that is almost non-existent. So it's at the end of the day, it's media that's creating that hype about certain issues, and we're also talking about it, and So, but in one way, it's fine. I mean, I think it's okay that we talk about, and this kind of culture is good. I mean, that doing survey and trying to find out the people's opinion, trying to understand people's pulse and all that. And we might be making mistake now, but eventually we'll try to correct all this, and eventually we'll get there. And these are all the part of the good politics and part of the basic values of democracy. I think this kind of competition is good, and this kind of activities are always good, and it's going to add value to democracy. There's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time also, we'll talk for and against different issues, and we'll be tolerant to hear all this, and we'll discuss and argue and debate and all that. This is all the beauty of democracy. I think this is all good.
Let me come to another question. You're teaching at the university, and this is the young people. Do you think, like we have the war crimes trial process underway, we have the issue of regular consumer goods price hike and all that, and vis-a-vis their careers, what they're looking forward to, and do you find a difference between what perceptions we have that the whole about the facts about this young generation voting 30% voting for the ruling alliance right now for the trial, basically. So how far do you think that's still in place? Has it shifted?
I don't think so. It has shifted. I think it's still very important, very vital to the people of this country. And you're right that I have the opportunity to interact with my students, not only in the class, but in different other forums like Facebook and different other. I get to know their opinion. And what I understand is, yes, I see some gaps between perception and facts sometimes. It's all because of the lack of exposure of what actually been happening. And also sometimes we get frustrated because sometimes we're too selfish. What we want and what we're not getting, we build a judgment based on that. We don't. Sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes we do things or say things based on our own interest instead of the collective interest or something like this. Speaking of that war crime trial, the one you just mentioned, when I was evaluating this government activities and initiative for the last 2 years, This is one of the important thing that they have started, initiated, and I would salute them for this. Because, we talk about development, we talk about we need more electricity, yes we do. We need more streets and flyovers, yes we do. We need more airports, yes we do. We need more stadiums, we need all those kind of stuff, absolutely. These are all the infrastructural development. But also we need to focus on the development of the values in the society. Right? And a society devoid of, basic sense and justice cannot be a modern society. So you do big crimes and you get away with doing all this and nothing happens, and this is actually not right. And what happened in our country, you've seen in 1975 and 15 August, the father of the nation was assassinated with his family members. And we saw that the family members, the leftover family members could not seek justice. It was all stopped. In a civilized society, a thing like that cannot happen. So we removed all this, and eventually justice prevails, and all of the other big crimes like crime against humanity and war crimes, all the unresolved things, issues that are actually were part of the dart of a society that we need to remove, and the government has initiated all this. So from the point of view of the development of the values, we're actually cleaning all this. And not only this, even in our constitution, the way that some of the military dictators, they have actually sort of absolutely abrogated the constitution and absolutely sort of
cut it into pieces.
Absolutely, yeah. And the democratic values and people's opinion, everything was sort of disrespected, in so many ways. And those things are all coming back on the right track, I think, with the verdict of the highest court that we've seen. So I think things are coming into the right track. The kind of society we actually dreamt, which was part of the spirit of 1971, we're going back there. And the other development that I just mentioned, the infrastructure development, all that, has to go with it at the same time. We need all.
Right. Well, Mr. Arafat will be back. We'll just go for a short break.
Sure.
Well, we'll take a short break. And our guest today is Mohammad Arafat, faculty member of the Independent University in Dhaka. Mr. Arafat, let's now get to the two powerful ladies of this country. The Prime Minister had her nationwide speech a few days back, and she asked people to give her more time, because as she explained that 8 years just were time when Bangladesh did not move forward in any sector. Rather, the things that she left behind in her previous rule were also destroyed. Specifically, the health sector. So, meanwhile, today, the opposition leader Khaleda Zia has criticized the government in many ways as possible, and she's saying the reign of terror is there in this country. How do you look at these two comments?
Well, see, you mentioned that in her speech, the Prime Minister mentioned about the health sector and also in the energy sector, she talked about it. I think, if you want to try to find out whether they're being truthful, it is possible. Just let's look into the statistics, data, and that is possible. Who's done what? So I think we need to be a bit more conscious as a citizen. So that's how we can hold them accountable. If the citizens of this countries are not conscious and educated enough to know, I'm not talking about the so-called education, at least about what's been happening around and things that are being talked about from the different political parties, how much they're being truthful, to find out that if you're trying to do a bit more research on those, and in that case I think we can find out who's saying who's being truthful and who's just falsifying and all that. Speaking of that, the Prime Minister, what she just said is it's not enough time, 2 years, which I understand. I think it is not enough at all to handle and manage a country like Bangladesh. If you compare with the US, see, the USA is 50 times bigger than Bangladesh in land size. But the population is only twice as much as the population of Bangladesh. So just imagine US with 50 times more population of Bangladesh Just imagine US, what would be their per capita income, what would be the overall situation in their society. So given this, Bangladesh has a very complex society with so many people, such a big population. I think this is the most densely populated country, and also our overall socio-economic situation. And all of these things are actually big challenge for the Prime Minister or for someone in the government who's trying hard to do something. It is not all that easy to deal with it. This complexity.
So we find that she's struggling on the, as you said, on the energy front. She has to deliver.
Absolutely.
She's struggling to rebuild the health system again.
Absolutely.
She's struggling to kind of bring order to the civil service.
Absolutely.
Everything. So when a criticism of this kind comes from
you know what happened is, sometimes we forget that even the government has a limitation of its management capacity. We think the government can do everything and anything. Even the government has their limitations. Absolutely. So you cannot open up too many windows to deal with it, because every window is posing some sort of challenge in front of you. You need to have that strength within yourself. It is not only the people that the Prime Minister has chosen in the cabinet with their honesty, but also their integrity and also their competence. So everything together matters. And for her, everything is a challenge. Even with some of the successes that the Prime Minister has, especially in the education, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Agriculture, undoubtedly. Even in the energy sector, I would say, in the last 2 years, if you look into the data, 1,000 megawatt electricity has been added. When even after all this, the deficit hasn't gone away. Why? Is that a negative thing or a positive thing? If you look into this, it is a positive thing. Why? Because the growth has, gone up. That means the economic activities is going more. And how do we know this? If you look into the data of the new business registration from 2009 to 2010, growth is 100%. Right? And not only this, there have been some other development in some other area. For example, at the end of the day, if you want to do something good to the people, that you have to remove poverty, right? You have to enhance the well-being of the people, right? In that case, what you have to do, you have to create wealth in the society. For that, what is the only way to do it? More and more investment, more and more business. That is going to create employment and wealth, right? So for doing that, you have to create a supportive investment climate. To do that, what do you need? We need the infrastructure, and we need the supportive regulatory environment. And from that point of view, to create a better regulatory environment, the idea of digital Bangladesh is helping a lot.
Right, but very quickly, since we're running out of time, very quickly, the comment from the opposition leader today.
She came up with some of the issues here, which is very typical of our politics. I would be happier to hear more specific allegations and specific issues and some of the solution to some of the problems, instead of only the problems by itself. So as an opposition leader, I think they have a much better role to play. They can go to the parliament and, of course, identify and point finger to anything wrong that the government is doing.
How will 2011 be for politics in Bangladesh?
I'm very hopeful and optimistic. I want to see it positively. I think people are getting more conscious. I want to see a competition, not the conflict anymore. And we want to compete based on our knowledge, based on our hard work and all that. And that's what people expect in our country.
Thank you, Arafat, for joining us. We've run out of time, but it was great having you with us.
Thank you very much.
So viewers, we come to the end of this program and hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to meeting you again next Sunday at 7:30 p.m. Stay tuned to ATN News, and thank you for watching.